What is going on, everybody? Not here, back after a long week of some family stuff going on. And it's time to talk about distribution updates, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on. So, where do we want to start? Let's talk about, let's start at the bottom. Let's talk about Weiss. So, I believe all the Lane orders are due. Yeah, so we're past due for a while here. However, the second version or the reprint of Nikkei, whatever. Looks like this is now going to push to the end of July at the earliest. So as usual, with Bushiroad, they're generally late on things when it comes to the second wave. So just want to touch on that very quickly. Let's go to Sorcery. They had this Ed Beard Jr. Dragonlord box, which is, I don't know how I feel about it. It's like 14 cards. One of them is foil. But the cost on these was not great. I think MSRP is like $60 for a game that's kind of dead. So I don't know. We didn't do anything with that. The only thing that's semi interesting here is their relationship with Flesh and Blood and with what Fab has done to turn the game around. Hopefully they do that. But again, Flesh and Blood has a player base and Sorcery really does not. So speaking of Flesh and Blood, if anybody has been paying attention, the high seas booster box prices have come down quite a bit now. I wouldn't say they've plummeted because they're still at $108, but it seems like the interest has really started to wane there, based on what we've seen with the last couple sets, especially the Hunted and Rosetta, which have just continually gone up over time. So I don't know what that means, other than I think there's a lot of LGSs that bought the product that were just looking for the quick flip, and it's kind of smashed the market a little bit, which really scares me. You go into this Super Slam whatever box, which is kind of a stupid name. I get it. It's for whatever classes here, Guardians and Brutes, but my fear is that they can't resist themselves, and I don't want to say they Mon won themselves all over again, but you increase the print run by 10% or 20%, and it's just going to exacerbate what we've seen with high C's, and then people start to lose confidence because you have a lot of people buying the game, which quite honestly, it's a free money glitch, right? You get 10 boxes, 20 boxes, 60 boxes, and you haven't been buying it. It becomes a problem. So, just I don't want to say be cautious with that one, but I am personally being cautious. Hololive. So this is one that I believe Rudy sold already. This was a new game. I actually demoed this at Gamma, and it plays a lot like Pokemon, and I was bored to tears. It was so slow, and I think that was because the demo decks they had were just super underpowered. But these Blooming Radiance booster boxes, which just came out, they've actually sold like 400 boxes on TCG Player, which is really interesting. And I know Hololive is a huge IP in Japan. I didn't realize it was going to do as well in English. So it's just something to keep an eye on. Speaking of Godzilla, I mentioned that this was delayed. It's now here. The boxes are now shipping. I've seen some openings. It's interesting. And what's interesting is it's not a Bushiroad game. It's actually being put out by the theater that owns the theater, the production studio that owns the rights to Godzilla. Bushi is just running the distribution for them. I don't know if that's good or if that's bad. Apparently, Shadowverse was similar, and that has kind of fallen by the wayside. But we got a bunch of boxes of these. They've sold reasonably well. The cards look pretty cool. I was never a big Godzilla fan, but I just want to mention it because we have a lot of these games coming out, and they're worth paying attention to. The boxes are like 58 or $59. And what was weird about this was all the distributors had different price points. I think the lowest was like 42 and change. The highest was like 52, which was right around MSRP. So there wasn't a whole lot of margin in these boxes, which was really, really odd for a first set. But we'll see what happens. Uh, let's see where to go next. Let's go to Gundam real quick. So Gundam is interesting because the first set is coming out, I believe, or this coming Friday. Allocations have been all over the place. We've gotten zeroed out by a distributor. Our main distributor that runs our Bandai Play gave us a good amount of cases. But the boxes on TCG Play, I checked them. I think they're pushing $300 already. So I think the first set's just it's going to go absolutely batshit crazy price wise. I have no idea what the. I shouldn't say I have no idea. I did not get a chance to demo this at Gamma. I just didn't have time. But I did get a chance to kind of look at the layout for the game, which is kind of cool because you have the pilot and the suit and the armor. I don't know if the armor was in addition to the suit or if you have some sort of force shield and you kind of have to break through and um, it's interesting. So we'll see what happens. My guess is people are just going to go nuts on it like One Piece and assume it's going to do the same, and it very well could. But we'll see. Speaking of, we have the One Piece set coming out in August. I have no information on that one as of yet. Allocation wise, Riftbound, same thing. No information on this yet. No idea if it's going to be heavily allocated, lightly allocated. So let's go to the meat and potatoes of this. Pokemon. All the sword and shield, my god. The black and white items have shipped. Destin Rivals booster boxes are back over 260. So again, the rumors of its demise have been greatly exaggerated by all of the um, mentally challenged folks on YouTube, just begging for clicks. That being said, why isn't black and white on here? That's weird. Did I miss it? You get Destined. Oh, it's probably not on here because it's shipping. I have heard rumors that some of the SKUs are delayed slightly by a day or two. I don't really look into that much. So that brings us to the Prismatic Evolutions Premium Collection, which is absolutely crazy. We've talked about the Team Rocket tin, which is crazy as well. But the Premium Collection, I believe, has 11 packs. It has a promo of, is it Umbreon and Sylveon? Espeon and Sylveon? Espeon and Umbreon. I don't know. I'm not a Pokemon nerd. But I'm gonna look. Yeah. Oh, yep. Espeon and Umbreon. Here we go. This one's gonna be crazy out of the gate. And then we have the Mega Heroes tins. I'm guessing this is going to be 2 packs per tin. I mean, this is probably got to be how they're flushing out the remaining loose packs for Scarlet and Violet. So I can't even begin to assume what packs are going to be in there. Maybe Paradox Rift, um, maybe Journey. I don't know, but that's going to be interesting. And the fact that they're coming out with a new mini tin at this point in time is it's very interesting for sure. And then we have all the Mega Evolutions. So the set looks really, really good, especially for a base set. Now it's not officially called a base set. It's just MEL1. But from what I've seen so far, it looks not weak at all. I don't want to say how strong it's going to be because obviously pull rates and things like that remain to be seen. But it doesn't look like it's going to be weak. So if we do treat this as a base set, it is going to be multiple generations of improved base sets, in my opinion. So you have the sleeve boosters, the ETBs, a check lane blister. So we have the 1-pack check lane blister, and then we have the 3-pack. I call it a check lane. It's just a regular 3-pack blister. What's interesting is that the 3 packs and the single check lanes and the sleeve boosters, these have all been almost zeroed out across the board because these products have all gone to big box stores. It's interesting to see all of these here. I should probably know in the next week or so what the allocations are going to look like for this because we're going to start to see them. It's going to be super interesting to see if they've really upped the print run on these. And I think the cool thing is I'll get to see a pre-allocation before my orders are due. So hopefully, if they've been printing this to the ground and collecting everything else, I don't get my face ripped off. But it's something to keep an eye on. ETBs. Look at this ETB. This is just it's an absolutely awesome artwork on here. And then I think we have two of them. So I assume it's going to be 5 and 5 in here because I don't see a second SKU. But then we have the booster boxes, the bundles, the 3-pack blisters, and then this Mega Evolutions built in Battle Box. You can see these are always delayed a little bit because they initially come out for pre-release, and then they have the second wave that comes out. But everything's coming out on the 26th of September. So this is going to be really, really interesting, really, really cool to see. And I think, yeah, I've been saying that I think this has been the set that they've been leaning into to print. It's going to be interesting to see in the next 7 to 10 days if I was right or not. And if I'm not right, we're just going to continue this absolutely crazy Pokemon boom. And it's going to be interesting to see how the shift of folks from straight on bolt hard Pokemon to Magic, what impact, if any, that's going to have on Pokemon. Because I mean, look, I have no doubt that unless something significantly changes in the print runs, these booster boxes they're going to come out over $200 again. The ETBs are probably going to come out at $100 again, and the set's going to be an absolute home run. But if Pokemon really starts to lean into printing and they start to crush the prices, the pendulum's going to swing to Magic, and the impact, in my opinion, is going to have a much more significant impact on Pokemon, where people are going to say, hey, look, maybe they've been thrown by Magic the Gathering, which is something I thought would never come out of my mouth. So moving to Magic. By the way, I was laughing today. I was reading some of the comments on an old video I did on Edge of Eternities. This was over a month ago, where I said, look, Edge of Eternities is going to outperform Foundations, and there's no question in my mind, because I started to hear rumblings of what the purchase orders for distribution were getting, and I saw how tight it was, and I got absolutely crucified in the comments section where they're like, oh, wait 3 weeks and you'll come crawling back here. Well, Edge of Eternities is super heavily allocated. And I've changed my opinion where I thought they were setting up to overprint Spider-Man to just smash numbers and trying to goose value in the products. And that may have been how the strategy started. And then we started to hear about how the reprints of a lot of these items, they were just getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And I initially thought, you know what, it's due to print capacity, so that's great. But then I thought about it, and it's like, okay, well, these guys can always buy more print capacity, right? You can always pay for it. The margin on these products is like 96% or something. So then I started to think, the last product that really smashed the market was the Bloomborough Collector reprint that everybody was told was going to be heavily allocated, and then it wasn't. And then the price went from $300 and some dollars down to like $140. And it's started to recover finally. But I wonder if these guys just haven't finally figured it out. And they said, you know what? If people are willing to pay $200 instead of $100 for Rooster Box, maybe I can charge $125 or $150 instead of $100. It's kind of Econ 101. So it seems to me like they finally got somebody in there that's not retarded, which is great. And ultimately, we're all addicted to Magic, right? Most of us started in Magic. If you want the product, you're going to have to pay the price, and that's the way they should think about it, in my view. And you want the game pieces, buy the shitty singles, because there's plenty of shitty singles, and they've really done a nice job mirroring what Pokemon's done, but they've added a little bit of excess with the collector boxes, which Pokemon doesn't have. And I think Edge of Eternities it's interesting because it's almost a little bit of an experiment where after 5 straight sets of having a serialized headliner card or whatever they call it, they're going to a headliner card that doesn't have a serial number on it. So this is almost a set that is in in the form of Pokemon, but it's coming after 5 sets where they've done something a little bit different. So I don't quite understand why they did that, but we'll find out. So, um, we all know Spider-Man's coming out. We all know the orders are coming up. There's no no commander decks in this one. We only have the scene boxes and the bundles. But what's interesting is they came out with Avatar. And the order date for Avatar, as we see here, is 7/28. So it's actually before Spider-Man, even though it doesn't come out until November. So I don't know why that is, other than they're trying to gauge print runs a little bit, but they did the same with Final Fantasy. And as much as they tried to print that so there was no allocation, they just got that absolutely blown out of the water. And for those of you who don't know, there were 3 waves of play boxes that came out. The second and third wave actually came from Japan, at least for what I got. They didn't come from U.S. printers, so the quality was better, significantly better. But so I don't know what's going on with printing here, but whatever they're doing is working. So what's interesting with Last Airbender, they have scene boxes. Here's your pre-release. You have play boxes. Now you have Jumpstart. You have Jumpstart 2-pack. I don't know if this is a single buy this and you throw the two together and you play like a starter deck. I'm guessing that's what it is. You have the gift bundle, you have the regular bundle, the collector boxes, and then the beginner box. I'm assuming this beginner box is similar to the Final Fantasy one that you had with, yeah. So 200 regular game cards. So I'm guessing you just crack it and it has 2 decks in it. And then let me go to this Jumpstart 2-pack, because I've done zero work on this before I did the video. I actually didn't even know this came out until the other day. Yeah, 2 Jumpstart booster packs per box. So yeah, it's just you buy this, you roll it together, and you can play. So it's interesting how it almost seems like they're now targeting the lower end of the market. I shouldn't say the lower end, the newer end of the market, and trying to get people in a much easier way to play, a cheaper, a less expensive way to play. So you're almost creating 2 different. What's the word? 2 different economies, where you have the entry level folks that just want to play and they don't want to pay a whole heck of a lot, and then you have the rest of the products that are gonna be a premium price, which I think is interesting. We'll see if it works. But either way, people are gonna buy Avatar. I was never an Avatar fan. I watched Weiss print Avatar and absolutely annihilate it. It was such a garbage overprinted product that nobody wanted. You can still buy it from distribution, which is crazy. But I assume Spider-Man was going to be the big one here. But almost all the nerds coming into our LGS, they're asking about Avatar. They don't give a shit about Spider-Man. So it's I don't know what to think about it, but again, my opinion is ever changing with this stuff, because you get more and more information every day, and you just kind of have to pivot. You can't draw a line in the sand back in March and say this is what I'm going to do for the year, without taking a look at it every now and then and saying, hey, you know what, we may have to pivot. So anyway, guys, that's what we have for this week. A little bit long-winded, but like the video, subscribe to the channel. Join the Discord, and we will talk soon. Have a great Sunday.